All right, what's at stake for Super Tuesday 2024? If you don't have uncommitted, you should be voting jank. You know what I mean? That's it. Those are the rules, baby.
Good morning to you, Tony. It's always a good morning when voters are voting, and Donald Trump actually.
No, it's not. It's like not objectively not a good morning when voters are voting. It's always a good morning when voters are voting. That's a silly thing you just said. You're silly, Caitlin Huey Burns. You're silly Billy. Dude, I'm telling you, this is the most mid-election cycle in my professional career. I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm straight up telling you right now, I have never encountered in all of my many years of being interested in politics, okay? This is straight up the most mid one. It has gotten progressively worse, okay? This feels like worse than the midterms. The midterms had more enthusiasm than this. Think about that. That never happens. We're in the general election. What the hell's going on? The last midterm cycle had more interest, in my opinion, for Americans than this election cycle. And there's a good reason for it. It's because everyone low-key recognizes that your voice does not matter. I'm not even kidding. I have this suspicion, especially amongst our generation, right? If you're like under the age of 35, if you're 35 and below, you saw COVID, you saw the BLM protests, you saw nothing happen as a consequence of that. You had this like feeling that maybe you could vote Trump out of office and then things would get better. Things did not get better. And now it feels like you're like, okay, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I hate Trump. I don't like Biden. What the hell's going on? I'm not interested. We did this already. We did this in 2020. I did this already. I did my duty. I went out. I voted. I door knocked. And then none of the promises came through. You know what I mean? What the hell's going on? It could get really funny really fast, though. Yes, it can. If either of the candidates die, then it will be very interesting and very, people will be locked in at that point because like who comes in afterwards, right? Like there are a lot of curveballs in this one. It's the least interesting election and can literally turn into the most interesting election of our lifetime in a matter of moments. It could straight up, I'm not even kidding. This is the first time we got a situation where a light breeze could change the outcome, could change the trajectory of American history. Okay, a light breeze. That's never happened before. Stairs. Think about that. You already know the character lore. There's no new story, right? He's got to spice it up with some DLC. Dems definitely have a contingency plan. Dude, I'm not even kidding. I think the Democratic Party is significantly less competent than you give them credit. It's impossible. It is impossible. Once you recognize how dumb every politician and every single one of their stupid ass analysts are, you will free yourself of the consistent confusion that you find yourself in. The damn contingency is Kamala Harris with hopes that she doesn't have any skeletons in her closet that will be too consequential, which is ironic because she is such a non-entity because they backpocketed her the entire first 3 years. I'm part of the White House press pool today, and I can confirm we did not need to test this morning. First time since the beginning of the pandemic. Wait, what? White House is lifting its COVID-19 testing rule for people around Biden? They're trying to kill him. Oh my God, things are getting interesting. Okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic Party has now activated their contingency plan. I was wrong. All but a brief moment ago, I just said the Democratic Party does not have a contingency plan. Turns out they do. It's called killing Joe Biden with COVID. That's right. Their original plan was to tell the world that he fucks hard and fucks often. That didn't work because everyone was like, it doesn't matter. He's 800 years old. I don't care about his dick game. Then they were like, all right, let's put him in the hyperbaric chamber again. Let him fizzle out. Turns out now they're going in the exact opposite direction. They're putting Biden in contact with people who are COVID positive to see what happens. Oh my God. I was playing a deep cut, by the way. That's Splinter Cell 1 OST. I'm sick of the both sides of the same horseshit, to be honest. Mind Drive, you are always the guy who does this every election cycle for every single election cycle that you have been here for, and you've been here for 46 months. You are a lifelong Democrat. I don't know why you act like this is like a new thing you arrived at every single time. Biden sucks on Gaza, but he's a hell of a lot better on a bunch of other issues. First of all, he's not. He's not a hell of a lot better on other issues. There are areas where this administration is far and beyond better than every other prior administration. including the Obama administration, labor being one of them, the FTC being another one. It's the agencies that have done a really good job. But on issues that matter, on issues, and labor certainly matters as well, but on issues that are in your face, like issues that drive the conversation, issues that create single issue voters, like immigration, Brandon took the previous 12 to 18 year cycle that it took for Democrats to arrive at their Republican position and greatly accelerated to a 4 to 3 year period. Back in the day, it would take at least like 14 years for the Democratic Party to be like, that's our position now, to a prior Republican Party position. Nowadays, it's 3. Brandon ran against Trump's immigration policies, and now Brandon is running towards Trump's immigration policies and saying he's the guy to do it. I'm getting the impression that a lot of mega leftists are so fed up they're ready to vote for Trump. If you vote for Donald Trump, you are not a leftist. If you vote for Donald Trump, you are not a leftist, you are not a socialist, you are not a progressive. Vote for whoever you want is what I say all the time. But like, let's be real, okay? I am never, ever in a million fucking years voting for Donald Trump. There's no accelerationism that is not like valid. It is not a real concept. Accelerationism does not actually work in your favor. We only accelerate towards fascism. When you got socialism or barbarism, accelerationists don't realize that without any sort of serious, solid fundamentals, no mechanism of pushback, no real, genuine class momentum, no actual acknowledgement of your class position, no class consciousness in this country, we are accelerating towards barbarism. What do you say to people who don't want to vote for Biden, therefore won't vote? They are the plurality in this country. So I got nothing to say to them, because guess what, dude? Due to the Electoral College and also due to the incompetence of the Democratic Party, there are a lot of people who would go out and vote that are just, you know, not doing it. Also, other hurdles as well, structural hurdles, hurdles in logistics, the fact that voting is not done on a weekend or a national holiday. I'm just not going to sit here and feed into the delusion that, like, you know, you're like the harm reduction argument becomes increasingly smaller and smaller within the margins year over year, especially as the Democratic Party is the one who's doing the harm, where they are very willingly saying, no, it's harm reduction, except like we're doing the harm. Actually, never mind. It's not even harm reduction at all. Vote for us so we can do the harm. So it's just, it's bullshit. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, no, vote for the Democratic Party. It's gonna save everything, especially when the Democrats are capitulating on every issue. Sometimes literally turning around, you know, taking the right-wing position. Yep. Democrats hate their base. Republicans fear their base. That's true. Also, don't think that like not voting for Brandon is going to end up, you know, teaching the Democratic Party a lesson either. Make no mistake. That's just not happening either. Uncommitted is a good campaign. Voting uncommitted, specifically with a purpose, is good. But over in the primaries is good. But if you think that like, oh, we made him lose and now they're going to learn their lesson. No, they're not. They didn't learn their lesson after 2016. If they lose, Dems won't realize they need to push more progressive policy. If they lose, they will think they need to shift more fascist policy to win the moderates. I often don't like talking about electoralism of this sort because like it is very, very depressing. At a certain point, you have to realize like the internal structure of the Democratic Party is just so busted, so flawed. They are not listening to you, and they will not listen to you until you have enough organizational power. That's it. Until you have unions, until you have labor power, until you have other organizations like the DSA and the like that are genuinely trying to push for progress and have enough of a sizable audience that they have to reckon with, that you can use the normal protocols of communication that other interest groups utilize, oftentimes with a shit ton of wealth backing them, of course. The Democratic Party is never, ever, ever going to turn around and be like, yeah, maybe we should listen to these dudes. It's not going to happen. We do this every election, and the answer is still the same. Democrats win, and they think they can win without the left and continue to move right. Democrats lose and still continue to move the right because they lost. Exactly. Nah, they know you'll vote for them when the time comes to it. Yeah, this is from the New Yorker magazine. Back in the Oval Office, where winter sun shone through glass doors, I asked Biden if it was possible for him to reach voters who had those beliefs. He treated the question as a provocation. Well, first of all, remember in 2020, you guys told me how I wasn't going to win, and then you told me in 2022 how it was going to be a red wave. He flashed a tense smile, and I told you there wasn't going to be any red wave. And in 2023, you told me we're going to get our ass kicked again, and we won every contested race out there. He let that sink in for an instant and said, in 2024, I think you're going to see the same thing. One race where you barely won and 2 cycles where you weren't on the ballot doesn't allow you to dismiss every single possible critique. This awful, insecure desire to feel like they are backed by some silent majority is blinding them from the most basic political realities. But you said you were voting for him, so is he really wrong? Did I say that? Also, it doesn't matter. 1, I'm in California. 2, even if I wasn't a fucking swing state, it still doesn't matter. I'm an advocate for voting. I'm always going to tell you to vote, okay? Voting is good. Ballot measures are important. Local elections are important. As far as the president goes, it's the least important thing on that fucking ticket. If you're there and you feel like you want to vote for the Democratic Party, if you want to do harm reduction, if you believe that this is truly going to work, go off. Go off, kings and queens. Just don't think that this is like a legitimate act of protest or anything in either direction. It doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. We have a uniparty structure, and ultimately it's a matter of like, do you want the bad stuff 4 years later? Or do you want the bad stuff now? That's it. That's what harm reduction has turned into. It's not like, let's roll back the bad stuff and maybe do a little bit of good stuff. It's literally, do you want it now? Do you want to get fucked right now? Or do you want to get fucked 4 years down the line? It's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. You're going to get fucked. And I think a lot of people recognize that. So they fucking put their heads down and they're like, all right, well, I'm preparing my asshole. Okay. I'm doing booty boot camp. I'm out there doing booty boot camp because I'm going to get ass fucked no matter what. This fuckhead is asking to be a dictator and people are just laughing it off. Come on, what happened to us, Lamau? I feel like there are 2 different types of voters out there. One who believes that like you legitimately are going to save the country by just voting. And then others who just don't give a shit either way, because even if there's no theoretical backing, even if it's not because they're like rugged, diehard Marxist, Leninist, anti-electoralists, they just look at the situation and they're like, bro, my take-home pay has not increased, right? It sucks. Shit sucks. It doesn't matter. I voted last time. Biden became president. Trump was like goofy as hell and kind of weird. I'm talking about the average person, right? And like shit didn't change. Maybe I'll go out and vote this time around, but I don't really care. I don't really care what the fuck goes on. It's apathy. A lot of people have developed apathy in this country as a consequence of the deliberate efforts of the neoliberal parties, both on the Republican side and the Democratic side, for the record, starving the beast and making sure that the government is ineffective, ensuring that, nothing really changes for you in a dramatic way, and your life is never improved by the government. So when that happens, you're like, well, why the fuck do I vote anyway? Especially in a structure where we have an electoral college, so the popular vote doesn't really matter all that much. That's the reason why the plurality doesn't vote. So unless you change it, or unless you literally run on a campaign that gets people excited to go out and vote for you, and that's a very high hurdle. That is a very tall bar to fucking clear. I get that. Brandon certainly doesn't clear it. All you're doing is depressing voter turnout. Anybody who wants change knows that voting hasn't solved that problem for multiple cycles now. Exactly. And before you say the consequences will be dire, yes, the second Trump presidency will be infinitely worse than the first one. I agree. Okay, I know that. It will be. And it will be worse than a second Biden presidency as well. For sure. But if you want people to go out and vote for you, if you are the Democratic Party who genuinely cares about the future of the country, if you have a genuine interest in like preserving democracy as you claim you care about it, then how the fuck are you going to put Joe Brandon up against Donald Trump? It's crazy. What I'm simply trying to tell people is that I'll always be honest with you. Yes, Joe Biden will be better, marginally better. Now, and that margin gets smaller and smaller year over year. Because technically, when you think about it, it is better to not do the same harm right now as opposed to 4 years down the line when it's the Democratic Party pushing for that same harm. The immigration strategy for the Democratic Party right now is a clear indication of this. Even then, it's still better, but it doesn't. You're not making fundamental changes. And not only are you not making fundamental changes, you are progressing the country. You are calcifying right-wing reactionary ideals from the left, from the supposed left as the Democratic Party. It's devastating. Where are Democrats championing anti-trans legislation? Please give an example. This is the one aspect that remains, is that the Democratic Party is not like openly, outwardly anti-trans, right? And they're also openly and outwardly not anti-abortion. That's it. Those are like the two deviations from the Republican Party. And it's just like, give it time. If they do not counter message against the Republican Party year over year, as the Republican Party's propaganda organs are just going full blown, full tilt, anti-trans, and they keep hammering it because they do have an ideological interest in controlling gender and what you can do with your sexuality, how you express your sexuality, how you express your gender, because they do have a fascist interest in that. And the Democratic Party don't actually counter message against that because they don't have any genuine intent. They don't have any genuine interest in preserving that and fighting for that. Inevitably, 4 years down the line, you'll see what happened in the Labour Party in the UK. Exactly. The Democratic Party, before you know it, will be the ones who are also saying, yeah, we got to fix this trans shit, dude. These children are getting queered. Actually, they're becoming homosexual Marxists, and we hate that. But the inverse of this, the idea that like your lack of voting for the Democratic Party is going to cause them to understand and go, oh man, we really got to take a deep, hard look at ourselves and maybe change the way that we legislate. Nope, not going to change either. They rely on the duopoly. They rely on the notion of harm reduction in an increasingly depressed turnout. They don't care because ultimately they have the same corporate benefactors that the Republican Party does. That's why every single corporation basically gives a 50-50 split in donations to both parties. You don't touch foreign policy. That doesn't fundamentally change. And the ideas of like deregulation or tax cuts for the wealthy, for example, becoming permanent like it did under the Obama administration when they were supposed to sunset the Bush tax cuts. Those positions, those legislative agenda items calcify under the Democratic Party. Wait, what the fuck?
I better not start the questions. I'll get in trouble.
What's your message for Super Tuesday voters? Everyone please move this way. Super Tuesday said, do you have a message for voters? Thanks, come on.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Bro, what is happening? Listen. Who amongst us hasn't shit themselves in a very public setting? You know what I mean? In front of the White House press corps. I mean, listen. This is the I just dookied in my diapers look. I know this. I know this from a mile away. That's that, oh shit, I just shit myself. They're making Kamala get off the pills. He's going to die soon. True. It is pretty cool that like most of our very visible, very public elected representatives are literally in diaper shitting territory. Like so many of them, many of them, some of them have died, like literally Dianne Feinstein. But then the other ones are like, you know, retiring like Mitch McConnell, and they're all having these like short circuit moments in public. It's pretty cool that they just keep getting older and older and older. Listen, shitting in your diapers is normal and healthy, I would say. Okay, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down with your freakouts, okay? Sometimes people poop in their diapers. It happens. It's natural, it's beautiful. Sometimes those people they got the nuclear football. Biden just lost American Samoa to some random guy. Excuse me, you mean motherfucking Jason Palmer, who apparently won by telling him he's actually popping off in the United States of America.
I'm asking for your support and vote and would love to talk to you about why I believe I'm the best candidate for American Samoa, a beautiful and diverse territory.
See, he doesn't even say Samoa. He says Samoa. That's how you know he was with it. Lord forgive me, but a quirked up white boy dude.
You're probably wondering, who is this Jason Palmer? I've never heard of him before. Well, in the mainland, I'm actually very well known.
Dude, everyone's singing Jason Palmer's praises on the mainland. You know what I mean? Bro won because it was the only one to campaign over there. Yeah, respect. Don't knock it, dude. I'm sorry. He has delegates now. Cenk doesn't. Neither does Dean Phillips and Marianne too. So
much so that Merrick Garland has said that if he were
Joe Biden, after finding out Minnesota has 20% uncommitted. Womp womp. Bro, this is crazy. Oh my God, bro. Come on. They have to invade Israel. That's it. This much momentum in the Republican primaries for anything would cause the Republicans to take action. This is how uncommitted could still win. Bro, uncommitted doesn't even get delegates. It doesn't even matter. The fact that people are openly voting uncommitted to be like, dude, fuck you, please stop doing genocide. Is invading Israel on the table? No, dude. Americans, when the word invasion comes into play, they're like, what? I'm on board. Where are we going? I don't care. Let's do it. I like that. Sounds good to me.